We have, we prepared people. I taught the university system for 40 years, and I taught black, green, white, purple, blue people, and those students, now are 40 years of age, whatever. And what that means simply, at 40, 30, and 20, it means simply that they could imagine what I taught them and what we discussed in a classroom. They could imagine the possibilities of America, much more than my dad could ever imagine that, and much more than perhaps on many levels that I can imagine, which is good. That is what it should be about. It is that is so important to me. And I got up on election day, went out to vote, and they had actually moved our voting place. I'm always amazed by politics. And I had to go searching 2 blocks for the place to vote. I found it and told them that, no one had put up a sign in the old place, right? And so they said they would do it. But I went to Obama campaign offices and asked the people who worked there to come put a sign up and have someone direct and redirect people. And then I went to a place called Minnesota, because I had a talk to give there at the university. And by the time I got there, when I walked into the restaurant where they were taking me out to dinner, the returns had just come in, and Obama had won, and we all jumped up. The whole restaurant jumped up and cheered, right? And then I went into my bedroom at the hotel later on, and I cried. I cried because I started to write a letter to my father. And I said, I am so sorry that you're not here to see this, to touch this, to understand what all this work was about in New York Core, in the Black Power movement, in the Black Arts movement, in the Civil Rights movement. All this work that I did for some while, getting arrested places that you never understood sometimes, and you just say, girls, I don't want you to get hurt. But here we are at a time in 2009, right? And we have children, who can say simply, look, that's a president. Look, that's our president. Look, this is a man who comes from a multicultural background. A man who has lived with Christians and Muslims and Buddhists, a man who looks out and sees us all and understands all of us, period. And that's important for us to understand that, to understand truly at some particular point that it's not the end all. Because I also tell my students, make no mistake about it, that, there are times we need to go into Congress like we used to do. And when the senators and the representatives are acting up, not doing what they're doing, you go in and boo them. Tell them, no, we want to vote, no, whatever. They put you out, of course. But there are always more coming in behind you. Do that. And you need to support. We need to support the president. We need to support him in terms of what he's attempting to do. And we also need to challenge him. When he begins to talk about, putting more troops into a place called Afghanistan, we need to say, The thing we're talking about at this particular point in our lives is finally peace. That we have generations of young people who need to see peace in the world. We need peace. We need peace. And we need to negotiate, as you said before, with people to find out why they hate us so very much in the world. And again, those negotiations that are necessary, And almost 2 years ago, this May, I was arrested with grandmothers and mothers. We went into the recruitment center and said, take us, do not take our children and our grandchildren. And, at first they said, oh, look at here, look at these nice women in here. Oh, hello, how are you? But then the men and women came in to sign up. And, each one of us got one of the young people and said, why are you signing up? This young brother said to me, I'm signing up because they told me if I sign up, I could become a doctor. And I said, oh, my dear young brother, I can help you. I can introduce you to doctors and, in med school and doctors who teach in med school and all of this. I said, but, you have a better chance of becoming a doctor than going into the army. You can believe that. And when we began to talk to the young people, of course, at that time, they asked us to leave. We said, we don't want to leave. We want to stay and talk to you, too, about your role. And then by that time they called the police, and the police came in and said, well, we're going to have to put your hands behind your back with handcuffs. So we had an older woman in a wheelchair. We said, we doubt that. I mean, why would you do that? We don't want to escape. We're not running out windows and stuff, right? In fact, we want to stay. And they said, well, no, okay. He came back. We'll just put the handcuffs in front of you. We said, well, we're not running away. Just don't bother. We'll walk out. Believe me. And they brought in one of the policewomen who said, oh, Professor Sanchez, what are you doing here? My students are all over the place, right? In hospitals, they're doctors, and they're dentists, and lawyers, and boom, 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 boom. And I said, well, we're getting arrested because we're making a statement against the war. And she said, don't worry. I'm going to take good care of you. I said, well, thank you, my dear sister, but if you take good care of me, you have to take good care of my sisters there, too. So she stopped and looked at me, and she said, yeah, you're always making us stretch, aren't you? I said, yeah. And she did take good care of us. As we went out the back door, they took us out the back door, a woman from NPR called and said, Professor Sanchez, if you had gone to boot camp, what would you have done? I said, I would have done push-ups for peace. Because that's what we've got to do, all of us, every day. If we have no other legacy, I'm talking to the older people looking at me, we've got to finally raise a generation that does not involve itself with war. Do not tell me you're the most intelligent beast on the planet Earth and you cannot negotiate, how not to have war. You and I understand we can stop any war we want to today because all wars demand money. You cannot have a war without money. All you have to do is take the money away and people stop fighting. Oh, yes, they do. Don't tell me. And I know what happened in South Africa. You take the money away and you say, negotiate now. No more money. People have to negotiate finally. And that's the truth. And at some point we've got to begin to really make use of the UN the way it should be. It's not a social setting. And the last time I said, this is not about a society. This is about the world and about peace. And so yes, we must raise a generation where they do not discover geography when they die. As their head hits the ground, they say, oh, this is Korea. When the bullet goes through the heart, oh, this is Vietnam. When the shrapnel goes throughout the entire body, oh, this is Afghanistan. When they get blown up into pieces, oh, this is Iraq. We are responsible for these children. We talk about them killing. We have taught our children how to kill. And then we worry about them killing. Yes, they will kill, because that's what they know. We have taught them. We are responsible for these children, all of them. And we're responsible also for the vets who come back home, who are killing themselves at an alarming rate. And we said this all the way back at the end of the first year of that battle, because we were told by some people the soldiers coming back, Sonia, are dangerously dangerous. They are killing their wives and themselves. And we talked about it out loud, and people said, oh, you're lying, that's not true. And now it is very true. So what we're talking about at some point is that we have got to do peace. I want to give you an assignment. For 1 week, do not twist and curl your tongue and say anything negative about anyone. I've done this from Harvard to Princeton to Yale. The first time I told the students, many years ago, they said, oh, Professor Sanchez, that's too hard to do. Teach us how to do a villanelle, a sonnet, whatever. That's too hard. What do you mean? Well, some people need to be talked about.